Hi everyone, it's Dean here from Oakley Watch Service Centre. Just going to go through the battery change on a minute machine. A customer sent a nice diamond dial minute machine in here, so they've just sent the case in, so that's fantastic. Don't need to deal with that. So yeah, just going to run through a battery change and how I do it. So yeah, there's 4 screws on the case back. Just going to release all those screws. When I do a battery change on a watch with a screw crown, I always release the tension on the spring. So when you take the case back off, the plastic spacer doesn't have sort of tension on the movement. So what I do is just flip it over, let gravity do its thing, just drop that on the case back onto the ground there, onto the desk. As you'll see, like, there's dirt build up around the case back. So what I do is get a smaller screwdriver, let gravity do its thing again, and just scrape a little bit of that dirt, letting it drop down, because you don't want that falling into the back of the movement and causing the gears to jam up down the track. So you might notice that there is bits of dirt from around the case back. So also I take the seal off, that'll be getting replaced. Also around the case back here there's dirt, so what we can do is, what I do is get a brass brush, just get the excess dirt off the back of there. Also have one of these blowers, so sort of get the dirt off with that. Just use this to blow some of the dirt off. Also we have this watchmaker's Rodico. It's sort of tackies and gets a lot of the dirt and fingerprints and the acid off the stainless steel or the titanium. Clean up those surfaces so that when you put the seal on, the dirt is not in the way. So yeah, I scraped the dirt around the back of the case back. So what I do now is just get the Rodico, clean that out. So if anything does break free, any of the dirt, it falls down onto the desk. So you don't want any of that dirt getting into your watch. Okay, so now we're ready to take the battery out. What I like to do is just put my finger, hover my finger over the top of the spring and undo the screw which is holding it down. Just let that spring up so it hits my finger. And it's just hooked in with 2 little hooks. Sleeve of those hooks out of the way. Battery drop out. I use plastic tweezers, so I'm not touching the battery at all. So best thing to do is also over tester, so make sure the battery is the problem. So we'll see if the battery is flat and has less voltage than it should. It should have 1.5 volts if it's a good battery. If it's less than that, we have to change it. So this one here is showing 0.5 of a volt, should be 1.5, so that's should be the problem. So we'll go ahead and change that and see if the watch ticks. See, on the Minute Machine, the battery size is a 395. So what I do is date the battery and put my code on it, so then I know how long the battery has lasted, and also that I've fitted that battery. Okay, so pop that over. Positive side facing up. Push that in, make sure it's sitting flat. I just go in the reverse, get those hooks in. Just hover my finger over there so the spring doesn't come loose. Put the screw back in, which is one of the hardest things to do. Put the pressure on top of that. And because I've put my finger over the top, I'd just like to clean away any of the acid that may have transferred from my finger to the battery. You can use little finger gloves, little plastic gloves that go over your fingers. I don't tend to use those. So yeah, just get rid of that acid off there. So the next process is to silicone the seals inside the crown. So the crown's unlocked, so it's spinning freely there. So what I'll do in this free spinning position, I'll push down on the set lever, which releases the crown there. Grab some silicone grease, got a little tub here, then just put it on the post, the shaft there of that crown. Then push that back in, giving it a spin. I like to check to make sure that it's locked in. So I'll put my finger over this side so the movement doesn't rise up and the plastic spacer doesn't dislodge. So that's locked in. If you don't put your finger there, the plastic movement there can sometimes dislodge and not be sitting properly when you go back, go to put the case back in place. So yeah, then we go ahead and fit the case back. Okay, grab the new seal, Get the silicone grease, put the seal in there just to coat it with some silicone. Then just run that around the edge, sit it back into place, back in there. Sometimes it might not sit properly, so you can just run some tweezers around there so it's not twisted. Just making sure it is sitting correctly. Then when we put the case back on, with all the Oakley watches, the Oakley must be put at the 12 o'clock end. So if I was to look at this watch, 12 o'clock's up here, so that means the writing, when you read it, goes at that 12 o'clock end. And that goes with every Oakley watch. And then push that down, make sure it's sitting in place. Pop the screws back in. I just tighten the screws up just enough till they start biting. Go all the way around. I do this just so I can get the seal and the case back as flat as possible. If you tighten this one up too tight, it may be sitting up on an angle when you go to tighten this one down. So I just tighten them all up, and then I go around and just give them that little bit extra so the case is sitting flat. And that's a battery change. There's another video that I've got on my YouTube channel that explains how to reset all the hands on a minute machine. So then I'll go over to the pressure tester and I will test it with the crown in the out position so it's not locked in, and just to make sure that the seals are fine. I'll just take you over to the pressure tester. I use a Witchy ALC 2000. So what I do is put the watch with the glass facing up. The pressure tester has a sensor that'll come down onto the glass. Just make sure the sensor's sitting properly. I'm checking to 50 meters on this one. It's just a static test, so I'll go ahead and make sure the seals are fine to go ahead and then test it at a high pressure. So I'll close the chamber. What happens here is the chamber fills up with pressure. It'll stabilize and then it'll detect any movement in the glass. So if there's movement in the glass, it'll say that there's a leak in the seal. Okay, and that's how I do a pressure test on an Oakley Minute Machine. Okay, thank you. Bye.